We're here with Rabbi Dayan, and the rabbi was telling me an amazing, fascinating story about his history. Not going to get in the picture if you want, of his history and how he got where he is right now. And Rabbi
Dayan is probably well known for Ush Bizin, was one of his latest hits.
greatest hits program. But Rabbi, tell me what you were saying about Hollywood and off Broadway, etc.
No, after I finished my army service, I learned theater in Haifa, Tel Aviv, and I prepared myself to go in a movie. After I did some theater in Israel, and I started practicing my English. And then I decided, I remember the monologue that I was practicing all the time in order to be able to, how, as you know, you have to bring an audition, is I started learning Shakespeare, and I learned Hamlet, to be or not to be, that is the question, whether it is a noble in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of our church's fortune, or to take arms against the sin, slings of troubles, and by opposing in them, I, to die, to sleep, a chance to...
And Rabbi, you made a big impression, obviously.
I'm just, I'm thinking about me, I'm going, flashback. So I decided, and I started, going to, after the army, I went to New York City, and I went to Herbert Berghoff Studios and Lee Strasberg Studios, and starting practicing, and I thought this is finished. And this is all the time, problems and everything. I want to go to good life, When I saw the Statue of Liberty, I said, freedom, freedom.
Rabbi, what year is this?
It was the year of this, 72.
Oh, wow. Many years ago.
72, 73. Then I went and I started working there in the place, whatever job I had to do. And in the evenings, I used to go to the studios in London. After I finished my time, slowly, I did some off Broadways, and I started learning Shakespeare too. And then I had a friend of mine, what's his name? Tzvi Fishman. He used to write screens for Hollywood, Law and Disorder with Ernest Borgnine. And then we became friends, we were roommates, and we decided to move to Los Angeles. Los Angeles, I gave my auditions, I made my 4x8 glasses, and I
Your headshots. The headshots.
The headshots. And then slowly I get, small parts and, some, I did, fashion, dugmanut. Modeling, for clothing, for suits. And then my first, I remember what was the, commercial. I did a commercial for Lipton tea.
Wow.
And it had to take place, dressed as Lawrence of Arabia, as an Arab. And then I had to ride a white horse. While riding the white horse, we went to the desert for a few days. They took some shots with helicopters, and with cars on the side, and I'm riding with a cafe, and I'm thinking to myself, that's it, I'm gonna make it, Hollywood. And then the last shot was in Hollywood Street,
Hollywood Boulevard.
Hollywood Boulevard, where they stamp their feet and their hands.
Yeah.
And it was my dream, And then there is Dar Maghreb, a Moroccan restaurant. And so we finish our shots in the desert. And then they brought a horse. I jump on the horse. And then there are those big doors inscribed with Arabs. I open the doors and I say, Lipton tea. Hey, Mom, I did it. Slowly. I had a part with with John Travolta.
In which movie?
Perfect. And one amazing thing, when I went to collect a few extras, Moroccans, for the movie, because the place, one of the scenes took place in Morocco. So I went to a Moroccan friend of mine, and I saw a little booklet. I said, "What is that?" He told me, "Somebody give it to me." It was a Tikkun Klali in English and in Hebrew. I took the Tikkun Klali, and then I'm reading the preface, but the breath, keeping the eyes, everything, and it hits me.
Wow.
I went to Santa Monica Beach, Will Rogers Beach, and said the first thing is to go to mikveh. I took my clothes off. I went to dip in the ocean, and I gave a pruta for the tzaddik. And in Will Rogers Beach, I said my tikkun klali. And then all the gates.
And then you
opened up.
walked away from Hollywood completely?
Huh?
You walked away from...
No, I had a car. And
No, I'm saying you left Hollywood completely? You stopped acting in commercials and movies?
You know, I want to, you know, I'm making it so short, you know. So it took me 1 year from the moment I found the Tikkun Klali, and then I met another friend. He had a Tikkun Likutei Moharan and Sipurei Ma'asiyot, and Likutei Tfilot. And I had my, I used to train martial arts for about 3 hours a day, you know, still training. And I took the mat, you know, of the martial arts, went to the mountains of Will Rogers, and I start making it bodydut. I still read Likutei Tfilot and just speak to Hashem directly. And one of the main things that saved me from all of this is speaking to Hashem Yitbarach. Until now, I'm practicing it. And it's an advice for everybody, which the Rabbeinu HaKadosh Rabbeinu says, the main thing, and the most important thing of anything, is it bodydut, means to set aside a time, a day, and speak to Hashem Yitbarach. I spoke before Nachman, and I told him about it. You know, when one wants to solve his problems, so you go to this advisor, another advisor, this psychiatrist and everything. But you know, everyone is guiding you according to his knowledge. But Hashem Yitbarach, God, will give you the best advice and the proper advice. Please, I beg you, you know, that it's a main, it's like, you know, the Rosh Chetz.
The point of the arrow.
Point of the arrow. You know, when one practices, it's difficult to go 1 hour. At first you feel like stupid, your mom's talking, but I'm asking you a question. When you stand up in Shmonah and praying and come to the synagogue, to whom do you pray? To God, to Hashem Yitbarach. There is no difference between praying and his bodydut. And so when you speak to Hashem Yitbarach, and the Rebbe says, speak like a good friend. Ribono Shalom, I need you. First, you have to thank Hashem Yitbarach. I thank you, Ribono Shalom, for the life you've given me. You brought me close to you, Ribono Shalom. I thank you for my eyesight, for my hearing, for my body, that I should be healthy, Ribono, that you returned me with all my stupidities and took care of me in all times, in all the problems. So now I arrived to such a time, Ribono Shalom, please, I beg you, let me set a time to meet you. There is no big kavod more than anything else in the world. Even if they offer you to go to the Oval Room and to meet Trump, you know, which is such a good friend of Israel, and to meet with all the bunch of the big princess and everything, the best kavod in the world, I tell to Hashem Yitbarach, please, this is my best moment in life. I beg you, Ribono Shalom, retain me, let me be consistent with his bodydut. You know, this is my big kavod to meet you, Ribono Shalom, and you set a time for me. And the Rabbeinu says, when one comes to speak with his bodydut to Hashem Yitbarach, Hashem Yitbarach stops all the world. He says, please, here's the overroom, the malachim, and the advisor says, stop, my son needs me, to bring him close to me. And then simply you start thanking Hashem Yitbarach. Then anyone has any problems that you have, Ribono Shalom, it's such thing, and I don't know, I need a good advice, Ribono Shalom. and you are the best advisor, that you know my soul, you know my neshama, Ribbonu Shalom. I beg you, Ribbonu Shalom, guide me properly. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. You know, I get angry for this, something like this. You take one trait of character. If you are a jealous, if you are, an angry person, and you say, Ribbonu Shalom, I'm the son of a king, Ribbonu Shalom. How I behave in such a manner, Ribbonu Shalom? It's so unbecoming, Ribbonu Shalom. 1 day, 2 days, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it's worth it to invest. Because, you see people, they are rich, they have cars, they have homes, they have everything. But truthfully, there are young kids that had small toys. Now there are big kids, grown-ups, with big toys, but no change in character. It's the same kid. We invest in shaping our cars, shaping homes, shaping everything, shaping the muscles. I should train every day, looking, I'm banging big muscles, everything. What about training and shaping my midas with myself, my anger, my jealousy, my envy? Hashem Yitbarach gives me all I need. I don't have to envy nobody parts. Not in Ruchniut, not in Gashmiut, because everyone's the share. Let me, guide me according to the path why you brought into this world, Ribbonu Shalom. And slowly you start saying that, I'm less angry, less envious, less jealousy. And slowly you say, hey, Mom, I did it. Yeah, and from Hollywood, I made it. This is the big Oscar. And I was thinking about an Oscar. So I said to myself, the little statue of the Oscar is like this, standing like this. So when I stand in Shmonayis, in Tfilat Shmonayis, and I stand, I say, Ribbonu Shalom, this is my Oscar. I say to my man, it's my Oscar. Ribbonu Shalom, I made it.
Wow. That's great.
Rabbi, continue to inspire. You still have the charisma in front of the camera like you had 50 years ago. And we appreciate
10
you.
years ago.
No, he said 1972 with John Travolta.
He gave it away.
Oh, yeah. Rabbi, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Tzlacha, nice to meet you. Rabbi Dayan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You got it.